Good afternoon, traders and investors. It's Will back here with another one. My apologies, guys, for not being here Thursday and Friday. I was a bit sick, had a very bad throat aches. Maybe you can still hear it today. Was pretty much resting so I can get the voice back and everything, taking advantage of the long weekend here in Canada to do so. Feeling good today, though, and on a day like today, the markets were, I got Google pulled up here, but the markets were pretty red, guys. And this should really be no surprise. We had been talking about this for a few weeks now of how the markets went on this very beautiful run, right? Over the past month and a half, we were up over almost 8% on SPY, and additionally an extra probably about 14, 15, 16% on QQQs pretty much since our little range area back in April. So it was a very good run, guys, but all good things do come to an end. And what we were looking for was first daily consolidation, which started happening over the last 2 weeks. And now we are into our famous weekly consolidation. So I'll be spending a lot of time on the weekly charts here, guys, giving you some levels that we can base our conclusions off of where this pullback might stop. Do I still think the markets are healthy? Absolutely. The bulls control the higher time frame, so weekly and monthlies at this point. I do believe that we are still in a bull market, as represented by our low VIX and our lack of negative catalysts. And a lot of stocks have just come up so much that it would be damn near impossible to reverse them to all-time lows or 52-week lows. So all that and more, we're going to get into it. Going to look at a lot of charts, spend a lot of time on some weeklies, look at over our big tech stocks, see where the pullbacks can take us. And yeah, let's get into some charts, guys. Before we do that, let's look under the hood here today. So SPY with a slight red day, minus 0.4%. NASDAQ was really our broad loser today, 1.34% here. And if we look up the heat map here, as you guys can see, the market wasn't as bad as it seems, which is why SPY had some decent rotation here today. We got some rotation from real estate, energy, industrials categories, right? Some consumer cyclicals and defensive were up as well. The major losses, once again, were in our financials. Healthcare and financials didn't do too well, but I mean our technology stocks, our main technology names were the recipients of most of the drops here, which is perfectly normal. They were the ones that have run the most. So it does make sense that when the pullback happens, they pull back the hardest. And we have been looking out for that. So should be no secret at all today. If we look on a sector by sector basis here, you guys will see that on a one day relative performance, you can see that there's as many sectors up as there were down. The only problem is that the ones that were down represent a larger weight. So that's kind of the biggest drawback here. So if we look at the SPY here, guys, right, on the daily chart, this is pretty much at this point all but confirming a daily downtrend, right? So let me just get my trusty little brush here and we'll kind of do some analysis here for you guys. So we at this point are in a daily downtrend. So what does that mean? I'm looking now at this point, 426 is going to be the line in the sand level for me that I believe bulls absolutely need to hold if they want to have any resemblance of something like this happening right away. Unless, if not, we're going to go for some further consolidation to the downside, right? On the weekly charts at this point, guys, should be your most important charts. Anything above 411 is going to be a weekly higher low. So tons of space for the bulls to set that. Look what we want here. We want everything to line up at the 12 EMA, right? So if I draw this line on the 12 EMA, you can see that on the daily as well, it comes in line, little gap fill here, and with a previous support area in this area right here. So on the weekly, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm potentially looking for some pullback into the 423 area on SPY. Obviously, the bulls can step in at any time to reverse this. If they want to, right, they can put it in some nice little days here and reverse the daily uptrend and cancel out our weekly consolidation. But I do believe, guys, that we are potentially due for a bit more in the SPY and the QQQ as well. So the level I'm going to be watching out for here, really the 423 for a stop to this weekly downtrend. This could take potentially another week, 2 weeks, something like that. But also noteworthy to look out for the monthly chart, right? The month candle closes this week. And if the monthly closes with a doji like this, it would not surprise me that if we do open up into July with some further consolidation before potentially moving up a bit higher and setting that new monthly higher low. So everything is very healthy on the longer term timeframes here. QQQ, same thing, right? The weekly is going to be the most important for me. On the daily, we can see that we have lost the daily uptrend at this point. It is a daily downtrend. If you want to view this all as one move, which is still possible, I mean, you could say that anything above 349 is just going to be a daily high or low, but I'm more of the opinion, especially with last Thursday in play here, I do believe that this does qualify as a daily downtrend at this point. Into weekly consolidation now that's been inevitable. Look how far, guys, we were off this 12 EMA, right? Too much space. This was a beautiful move, but it did have to top out and finalize here. We were well overbought. What's this move down doing? It's allowing us to cool off the daily RSI and the weekly RSI at the same time. So much needed move in my opinion. At this point, massive amounts of space, guys. Anything above 313 levels will just be your weekly high or low. So tons of space to set it. I would not be surprised if we do catch up with the 12 EMA, catch up with the 12 EMA anywhere in the 345, 343 area would be a great area where we could come down to pull into for some consolidation before resuming our trend upwards. So I do believe that this market is very healthy. We are potentially going to continue, however, to pull back here over the next 1 to 2 weeks, in my opinion. And it's just normal market movement. Is there any negative catalyst causing this? No, this is straight a technical pullback in a bull market. So these are due. They happen all the time, guys, right? It's just that we've been so used over the past 2 months to just up only that now people are starting to get cold feet with a little pullback. But that's all it is. Slight pullback. Very good for some buying opportunities, potentially in some names that have ran a lot. And now we're going to pull back decently. XLF, unfortunately, we have now lost, right, the 3350 area convincingly. This area of resistance is the one I wanted to smash. Why? I was expecting a breakout just like IWM did, but we never got it. It was kind of a look above and then break down below, right? So very unfortunate that bulls were not able to do that. However, we are still looking healthy. This is technically still a weekly uptrend on XLF. Anything above 3150 area will just be a weekly higher low. So still a decent amount of space for bulls to set that. And if we do keep pulling back in technology, I'm going to need to see financials and healthcare put in some nice moves to the upside to negate the negative movement by QQQ. As long as we can still get some healthy rotation, these markets will remain healthy in my opinion. Daily, kind of a bit messy here. As you can see, it was a nice day on the morning and then we kind of gave it all back. So we're really looking for this daily downtrend to come to an end soon. And we're going to need the bulls to reverse that. So short-term bearish, but keep in mind, we are just looking for your weekly higher low before potentially making another move to the upside. So there's going to be some decent opportunities in financials as well. You guys know me, always looking for Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab also looking for the weekly higher low to confirm a potential weekly uptrend. And my Canadian banks are now at a very decently low level. If you guys don't like this ETF, this is always the equal weighted banking ETF. So as you guys can see, we're now at levels as we were back in 2021. So you guys are getting about 2 years of discount here. We're at the bottom end of our range. This is where I love buying. Most Canadian banks are anywhere between 25 to 35% off. You can see the equal weighted ETF for them is 25% off, but some of them are a bit lower. Obviously, you can have, right, BMO is going to be one of the lower ones, 27%. RBC here is going to be down about 20%, right? You have other banks like TD. TD is down a bit more. TD is down about 30%, right? Then you have the smaller ones like Bank of Nova Scotia. This is one of our bigger losers here, down 35%. CIBC, another one down about 35%, right? So all across the board, you do have a lot of banks that are down off their all-time highs decently. And this is where I like buying. My favorite ETF for buying them personally, my personal buys, is HCAL. All right, so it's a actively managed. They run slight leverage on it. They pay very good dividend. Look at this dividend yield, 8% on the Canadian banks. So financials is a sector that I'm buying. Just not US financials. I'm buying Canadian financials. In my opinion, they pay nicer dividends. They also have greater share appreciation. and they're more sturdy, and their charts on a longer time frame look a lot better than the American banks because they're kind of a protected oligopoly. They're one of Canada's largest economic producers, so it makes sense. XLV Healthcare still not that far off all-time highs, guys, right? All we need, if we get a slight run in healthcare, it's going to make up for a lot of the damage that's been done to the technology sector, right? So healthcare holding on well. We're still in this tightening range, right? So I'm going to be looking for this range to break one way or the other. Now, we've done a great job of setting up for the weekly higher low, right? So weekly higher low compared. Now what we need to see is we really need to see a confirmation of that weekly uptrend. I need to see a break of 135. If we don't break 135, guys, can't be too bullish on it. Still just a tightening range. It's so tight, guys, that I don't even look at the daily at this point because it's not really doing much, just really consolidating. Very choppy market on healthcare. I need to see the weekly. What's going to do it for me if we are either bearish or bullish? Bullish, you need a break of 135, and bearish, you need a break of 126 to be looking to the lower areas and really start negating, right, this range to the downside. IWM, right? IWM was one that I was hopeful for, but unfortunately has not been able to hold up the gains. Very big red week last week, right? Lots of pullback from our highs that we had been able to put in off of those beautiful moves coming out of May. So down about 5% from their local highs, but we're still healthy. Guys, anything above my 179 line here is just going to be a nice little retest of our previous support. So looking forward to see how the bulls are going to react. We have some beautiful confluence of the moving averages here as well. So we'll see. Are the bulls going to be able to really set this higher low, right? That's what we're looking for. Weekly higher lows on a lot of these charts for further upside. So the next 2 weeks are going to be crucial for this chart. The line to watch for me, 179. Very important. If we keep it or lose it, if you give back too much of this move and lose the support, then you're kind of in for more of a tightening range, right? I want them to hold this because then you can have a likely scenario where we can finally set a new weekly uptrend. Dow Jones names holding near the high. My inverse head and shoulders is not really yet invalidated. If we were to pull back down to the sub 33 level, that would kind of invalidate the pattern for me. As of now, still looking decent. Don't forget, we had a lot of names, Dow Jones names, right, that were performing decently. So that's why the Dow Jones was very flat today. On the weekly, still looking good. This is the pattern that I'm looking out for, inverse head and shoulders. But the bulls really need to stop the downward bleeding for now. I would love to see a daily regain of the daily uptrend, right, for us to push higher. But as of now, it's kind of setting up. We've given back a lot of the move. You wouldn't want bears to get this type of setup because then it would invalidate our weekly pattern and we would kind of just go back into this kind of, very choppy range here. So I really would like to see this pattern complete. And if technology does lose a bit of steam, well, then potentially we have our value names make up for it and take over the lead in this market. They have not had the lead for quite some time. That's been technology. Now, Bitcoin, all right? Bitcoin, very important. Very bullish weekly close on Bitcoin. You love to see it. This is good for crypto, in my opinion, right? So what we're looking for now at this point is going to be, we are looking for our daily higher low. All of this is one move. It's now daily bull flagging. We can still come down as much as we want here, and it'll still be a daily bull flag. We've created a lot of space. So what I need to see bulls do is I need to see them hold this 30,000, this 29.5 to 30,000 level here is going to be crucial, a very crucial area. As a matter of fact, I can put a area here that I need us to hold. It's going to look something like this, right? Need to absolutely hold this area if we want to have the best chance of moving higher quickly. That's what we want. If you want to see a move higher quickly, you need to hold at the higher end of this move here. So it gives the bulls the best chance to finally crack through this previous resistance zone here. Obviously, resistance now is going to be 31,000 to 31.5. So I would love to see that. However, if we do pull back a bit more, in my opinion, it's not that bad because we've created so much space, right? Anything above 25,000 pretty much is going to be a weekly higher low. tons of space if we were to keep pulling back to set that. So at this point, bulls are in control of the weekly and the daily time frame. What we need to see is bulls recapture that daily uptrend in a significant fashion. They're doing a good job of holding this bull flag alive, right? So just keep an eye on your 4 hour. Keep an eye on the 4 hour until we can reverse this 4 hour downtrend into something like a 4 hour uptrend. Well, I'm going to be looking for further consolidation. Now, let's get into our major tech names, yeah? Apple. Apple with our first big red day in a significant amount of time, almost down 1% on the day. You don't like to see this type of candle, right? It's like a pretty much like a doji hammer candle to the downside. So it could be indicating that Apple is due for more consolidation. However, we are still in a daily uptrend. Looking good, looking kind of toppy though. Apple does look like it wants to kind of turn that corner and join the bears to the downside. So we're going to be looking out for that weekly chart. Most important chart, guys. Look for this zone, which was a previous resistance. I should really change this rectangle to be green. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to change this to be green because it is now new support area. Previous resistance, obviously. So this is the area that I'm looking for Apple to kind of come down and chill into if it does consider a weekly pullback, right? Would not be surprising. The RSI is still overbought. It's one of our names that hasn't pulled back like the rest of them have. So weekly is still overbought. Daily, not so overbought anymore, but still kind of in that rich level, rich zone here. So if we do lose the daily uptrend here, which would be a loss of 183, I'm expecting a further move to the downside. Where could that move to the downside bring us? I believe anywhere between this 175 to 168 level. For me personally, this is where I would be interested in writing some puts. If we do come down into this area, I'll be targeting anything under 170 for a good area for writing these puts. It's kind of an extension of our previous channel line down, coupled with horizontal support, moving average support as well. So that's where I'm going to be looking personally for some Apple. Amazon right now. So Amazon, as you can see on the weekly, guys, it is looking like it does want to curl over with today's price action, but we'll need a little bit more information to see if it actually wants to do it. But however, on Amazon, the line in the sand level for me, 124. If we lose 124, we run a really good risk of losing the daily uptrend, potentially going for a daily downtrend. If that starts to happen, it will just be weekly consolidation, guys. At this point in time, so much space. Look at this monster move. Anything above 101 is going to be a weekly higher low, guys. If Amazon does pull back, I would like to see it pull back pretty much in the 115 range. If we can get 115, I will be looking to get some options down here in the 115 area. That is my sweet spot on Amazon. I don't think that we're going to give it all back. Would be very, very, very surprising to me. But around the 115 area, we do have some really good support down here, which is what I will be looking at for my next target, right? That is what I'll be wanting to do on Amazon. So if we do get this week and potentially 1 or 2 more weeks of consolidation on tech, I will be writing some options here on Amazon. Now, Google as well. Google has already started what Amazon has not, right? So now Google is about 5 weeks now where we've had some decent amount of pullback. Originally, this whole support area was holding price pretty decently, but as of today, we've now broken below and closed below my kind of support area. So the next target for me may just in fact be this gap fill around the 113 area. It's very possible that it becomes choppy because we do have a lot of price support still up here, right? This whole zone is a massively choppy zone, guys. Look, to break this zone, we had to put in 2 massive candles back to back to actually break through this zone. So if we kind of slowly come down in here, it won't be maybe a clean shot for the bears. It may just be very, very choppy here. So that is what the best case scenario right now for the bulls is. We've definitely lost the daily uptrend. It is now a daily downtrend. So our weekly consolidation is still currently underway. And I did write some options on Google today. I wrote the 117. So 117 for this Friday is going to be my first pickup for Google. If we continue to push down, I would love to see 113 to 110 area, guys. So much space above 103, 104 area. Anything above there is just a weekly higher low. I wouldn't want to see them all the way down here, But if we do pull back into the 116, 115 area, I will be writing some options down here, and I'll be very surprised if they actually get assigned number one, or if I do get assigned, I'm be very happy because I think the bounce will be absolutely legendary at that point. So keep in mind that for Google. Obviously, everything I'm saying today, guys, is kind of going to be for downside targets, stipulating that this does continue, because you guys know what the opposite is, right? So the opposite is just we have to break all of our previous resistances on Apple, Amazon, Google, all that stuff, right? So it should be fairly obvious. I'm just saying that if we do continue to the downside. Microsoft in a similar situation now. We have lost the daily uptrend. It is now a daily downtrend for the first time in a long time on Microsoft. So that is very notable to us, guys. You have to take note of this stuff, right? So look at this weekly push. This weekly push was absolutely massive. So pretty much anything above our, most recent low here, 276, will just be a good area for a healthy pullback. Microsoft, I'm personally looking anywhere 305 and below is going to be an area that I would consider potentially writing some options in. Anywhere between 305 to 290, I think is a good area to be targeting. Very, very, very decent area on the monthly. You can see monthly closes in 4 days. Would not surprise me if the month does close like this. And then July, we do get a push down into those areas. What will we be looking for? Be looking for the monthly higher low to be set at that point, right? So that's why all of these levels are crucial. We're looking at weekly pullbacks and potentially monthly pullbacks, right? With the end of this month and potentially early to mid-July, the monthly consolidation can be there as well. So look out for those levels on Microsoft. Those are my favorite levels. Obviously, if the bulls what the bulls have to do, right, is they have to recapture. They have to recapture, and then we would be good. But as of now, the bears are in control of the daily time frame. The bulls are in full control still of the weekly. We're just looking for a weekly higher low, guys, to continue the move, right? It's been long, long, long overdue, in my opinion. Meta, same thing. Weekly time frame is the one to watch. Daily engulfing candle to the downside. But a long time we haven't had a negative 3.5% day on Meta. One of our largest red days now in over 2 months. So that is something that the bears obviously like to see. Very possible that now we are going to lose the daily uptrend on Meta, just as we have our previous stocks that we were looking at. So should not be surprising anyone at this point. Great job finally cooling off. Look. In 1 day, we cooled off the RSI. So we just need to cool off these higher time frames, guys, and we should be all good. It's going to be some healthy pullback, in my opinion, right? So at this point on Meta, since we were setting highs all the time, I would say anything above 230. 230 on the weekly is just going to be a weekly higher low, okay? So look out for that. Meta, still a bit too rich for me. You guys probably won't like the level if I tell you. The level for me that's juicy on Meta is actually a lot lower than that. We're looking at 212. 210 to 212 is the area that I personally like on Meta. Not telling you guys what to do. If you're long-term investors, doesn't make sense to sell shares. You would just kind of wait to buy more, to DCA and more with your regular income, right? So, but since I'm trading, if I'm looking for optimal positions, well, I just told you my optimal position is all the way down here on Meta. May not get there. I'm perfectly fine if it doesn't, but that's just what the levels are telling me right now. So anything above 230 is going to be a weekly higher low. I do believe that we may consolidate for a few weeks. Very, very possible. Meta bulls could obviously just completely negate that. Continue ranging around here and just push higher. But I would not be surprised if we do end up in a daily downtrend like we ended up in Google. And we just continue lower for a bit in some very healthy consolidation on Meta. NVIDIA, same principle, same principle, right? So now we pretty much are at risk of losing the daily uptrend, right? So anything pretty much above 375 was just going to be a daily higher low to begin with. This bull flag started last week. It's now continuing in a more aggressive fashion. So keep an eye on 374. Keep an eye. That's really the line in the sand level for me on NVIDIA. If we lose that, then we completely set up the bears for a daily downtrend into some weekly consolidation as well, right? Weekly levels to watch out for. It's the same level as the daily. It's our most recent support after the gap up from earnings. 374, 375, a very, very big level for me, guys. The closer that we get to it, the more likely that we end up with a situation like this, right? It gets hard when you take back an entire move. It gets hard to V-shape. Okay, that's just the reality. It gets hard to V-shape. If you want a V-shape, you need a shallow bear flag and then boom. That's what happens the most often, right? Shallow flag, boom. Shallow flag, boom. Happens all the time, right? If you pull back too much, you open yourself to the opposite scenario, right? And so be it. There's a massive gap to fill down here for earnings. It's too soon for me to say whether that happens. Keep an eye on 275. Obviously, we are still at this point in daily uptrend. If we do bottom out here, then our next level to look out for obviously is the previous high at 438, right? But it wouldn't surprise me if we do continue to pull back on a lot of these names. Now, looking at Tesla, same exact thing, same exact thing. Beautiful monster move on Tesla. I'm looking for this range, guys, 230 to 212, okay? This is my target area. I wrote some options on Tesla again today. Last week's ended worthless, so we were able to capture the premium. No harm, no foul. I sold my Tesla shares at 260 plus the calls, ended up being net 263.20, something like that. So I'm very happy about that. Now we're just looking to re-enter the position on another swing, right? Another swing. I'm targeting this area, guys, on a weekly pullback. Anything above 165 is a weekly higher low. So much space. Love this area though. Roughly around 220 to 215 is the sweet spot, right around the moving averages, around this horizontal support as well, right? This is my target range. This green box, 230 to 212 is my optimal range for Tesla. At this point, I believe we are in a daily downtrend. It is kind of set in motion at this point. So if we continue this daily downtrend into my green box, that is where I am personally buying. I did write the 230s in the account today for about $1.60. I didn't write them near the low of the day, as a matter of fact. I wrote them roughly around, it was around between 12 and 1 p.m. Can't be exactly sure, but the price was around 244.50, 244.60, right around this area here. And as you can see, if I would have just waited for the end of the day push, I probably could have got a better price on my puts, but so be it. I was happy with the premium that I got at that point in time. So just keep an eye out for those levels, guys. Palantir as well. Palantir, one of our high flyers. Now, consolidating the move to the downside, potentially setting up here for a daily downtrend. Really got to watch, guys, today's high. If we go lower tomorrow and break today's low, we will be in a daily downtrend, right? If we're in a daily downtrend, just look one time frame higher. What were we expecting? The weekly pullback. What was I saying? The weeks prior, 13 to 12 is my target area for Palantir. If we can move into this zone and hesitate for a little bit in this whole area right here as we consolidate, that would be best case scenario for me. I will be looking to write some options. How far, depending we go here. I really want close to $12. $12 is like my optimal area for Palantir, okay? Why? Because it does line up with previous horizontal support, 1150, right? Anywhere 13 pretty much to 11 is the area that I start to get interested, because I know we're just looking for a weekly higher low. The monthly uptrend at this point is just going to be in motion, even if we do get 2 months, month and a half of downside on the candles, not total, but just 2 candles to the downside and then push up. That would be absolutely beautiful, right? So Palantir, really looking out for this 12 area. The bulls, if they want to reverse it, obviously, beautiful come down off of RSI here. Beautiful come down on the RSI here. If the bulls want to reverse it, it's very, very simple. They need to create enough space so that they can reset the daily uptrend. All right. But for now, since we are in motion, we are in daily downtrends on a lot of these charts. The trend is your friend. I'm giving downside targets, right? It's no use for me giving upside targets unless the bulls prove to me that we've regained the daily uptrends. Makes sense? That's why when we're in daily uptrends, I give the upside targets. When we're in daily downtrends, I give the downside targets. So, hope that was helpful for everybody. PayPal, one last one. PayPal still looking for the daily higher low. Anything above 62.68 is a daily higher low. Bull flag into the moving averages. Will it hold? I certainly hope so. Have a lot of PayPal. Wrote some covered calls at 70 though on Friday. So got lucky on that, right? So I jumped the gun on it. knowing that this week we may get some further consolidation. So I predicted right, and I was rewarded. My cover calls are now doing quite well, so I'm not losing too much on the share price at this point. Really need to see PayPal bulls put in a stop here, towards the 66 area. You really don't want to lose this previous horizontal support, right? So really want to see the bulls kind of negate the rest of negative technology since PayPal has been beat down for so long. It would be nice to see them hold at least the trend and continue their push higher, at least until they recapture our earnings gap here. If they want to consolidate like this, they can do it, but I would love for them to do it in the 70s and not the lower 60 areas. So that's pretty much it for our video today, guys. The value names were actually doing quite well. Keep an eye out for Nike earnings. Nike earnings on Thursday is going to be very, very telling about our consumer retail segment and about inventory issues that a lot of producers have been facing. Costco, keep an eye out for Costco. This thing, I believe, can run if value names are favorable, right? We had a tightening range now for a better part of the last year and a half, right? And whoa. And now we're finally breaking out of this range, right? So you guys remember this? It was a very classic accumulation pattern. We've now broken it to the upside. We're now grinding the moving averages higher on the weekly. Would not be surprised if we continue our move higher on Costco. So this is one of my more favored plays that I do have shares in. It may have some legs to run. I wanted to show you the positions that we opened today. So we're doing pretty good, pretty happy with the positions that we have. So last week, our end phase got assigned 162.50. We did write some calls on them last Friday at the close, knowing we were going to be assigned, knowing that today was probably going to be a down day. So we did write them at 314 average cost, right? So average cost of 314 on the calls brings our average down. I got about 86 cents on them prior to being assigned. So all in all, we have $4 in our pocket off 162.5. So our break even is now 158.50. And as you can see, they are in the money now today, the covered calls, right? So, I mean, we're in profit rather. So doing pretty well on those covered calls. No harm, no foul there. Pretty much all protected. PayPal also had the covered calls. As you guys know, we've been rolling that for a few weeks in a row now. So PayPal wrote them on Friday, 41 cents. You can see that they're almost worthless now at 13 cents. So we did pocket the premium there, was able to mitigate a bit of the PayPal drop today with that. Rivian as well, we were assigned the $14, right? $14 puts. Got about, I think I remember 14 or 15 cents for those. So our average cost is about $13.85. We were able to write actually some covered calls on the Rivian shares last week, knowing we were going to be assigned on Friday. I tend to cheat like that sometimes. I pre-jump the assignment. So as you can see, we got 39 cents on those. So decent premium. Altogether now, we should be having at least around 55 cents of premium on Rivian. Rivian today actually ended the day around 14, let me check, 14.40, something like that, 14.45. So actually we're pretty much on par, right? So I'm 55 cents off $14, and that's actually as much as I have premium, 39 cents plus. You don't see it here, guys. You only see the assigned price, but just keep in mind that I showed you guys last week pretty much. Tomorrow is when the values adjust in Interactive Brokers to reflect the true average cost. Also, what else did we write today? So today we also have the Rivian puts that we wrote last week. The 13s have 10 of them, 17 cents. They're now slightly higher, even though the price of Rivian hasn't even moved, only because volatility's come up a bit. So we'll see if we do get assigned those this week. AMD, new position for today. So wrote two puts here. The 103s, 48 cents a pop. So almost half a percent in premium. I was happy with those, right? If I get assigned at 103, be a very, very good discount off of our recent level, right? If I get assigned at 103, you're roughly running about a 23% discount off of our run. This is the green area, my green liftoff zone. I would love to be assigned in this level. I think it's still a very, very decent price for AMD, all things considered. So we'll be looking at those. Those are for Friday as well. The Googles as well, as I told you guys during the stream, wrote the 117s. Only one though, because I do assume that it can drop further than that. That's just a starter position for me. I will be going more heavy, averaging potentially in the 113s, 112s if we do pull lower, because there is some better support areas down there. But I did want to participate on this dip in case that's all we get. And as you can see, guys, lastly but not surely, the Tesla position, the 230 puts on Tesla. So as you can see, 160, as I was saying, minus our dollar commission. So 159, they dropped a bit more at the end of the day. So you can see that we're already a bit underwater there. But if we do drop to 230, guys, just remember that that is in my target optimal zone. I will be averaging with a second position. If we continue dropping, I'll be averaging more heavy at the 212. So I kind of like to do that when I know that we're in a downtrending market, right? Never throw all of it at the market at once. I tend to like to average into positions like this when I'm trying to build them. When I'm trying to build them, basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to catch the dip here and then ride them back to the upside with the call. So those are the moves that I made today with today's red situation. The account obviously still have a ton of buying power for the rest of the week. So we'll see what the market offers us tomorrow, what opportunities. I'd like to get some value plays. Wasn't so many deals on the value plays. As you can see, we're kind of running a bit heavy on tech right now. So I'd like to diversify that away with a bit of potential value plays here to fill up the rest of the buying power for the week. And if not, we're just going to kind of fill up with a bit more technology, as I did go a bit light this week as well, knowing we're expecting further downside. So we'll see what comes up tomorrow. Anyways, if you guys appreciated the stream, I really appreciated that you guys are watching it at least. Consider giving me a like, consider subscribing, really helps out the channel. I really love you guys for all the support and input you've been giving me so far. It's been making this journey absolutely amazing. Once again, I'm Will. I will see you guys tomorrow after the market close. I love you guys. Take care trading. Peace.